Hello and welcome to the session for ISTE 2020, How My District Raised Test Scores and Reading Rates with Digital Books, sponsored by Overdrive Education. My name is Bailey Hotuyak. I'm the Overdrive Account Manager for Southern California, and I will be moderating this session. We'll be raffling off a Samsung Galaxy tablet at the end of the session, so please look for the link to enter the raffle, and we'll draw the winner at the end of the presentation. I'm very excited to introduce Mike Chaix. Mike is currently the Assistant Superintendent of Educational Services in Cucamonga School District with 27 years in education. His success has been achieved through the hard work and dedication, through the hard work and dedication of he and his colleagues throughout the years. Time and trust have played an important role in the implementation of this process. Mike believes that mastery-level learning and great teaching practices that leverage technology will encourage students to learn at unprecedented levels. He holds a doctorate degree in organizational leadership and management from the University of La Verne. Mike is passionate about making sure students are prepared for their future in an ever-changing world. He is a John Dewey grounded educator that believes learning should be meaningful, connected, organized, and relevant to the learner. The more the learner is part of the process, the more successful the process will be. Without further ado, I will hand over the presentation to the ISTE NQ 2020 recipient of the Making It Happen Award, Mike Chaix.
Thank you, Bailey. That was a very kind introduction. I appreciate that. I just want to start by saying I am so thrilled to be able to represent Overdrive and our school district. So as you look at the title, it says How My District Raised Test Scores and Reading Rates with Digital Books. At the heart of this is not about some trick to get test scores up. It's about reading and about getting kids excited as we go forward. So as we do that, I actually have something I'd like to try out with you. I want you, you're participating, to think about this. What got you hooked on reading, or you're hooked on right now? I know when I was in elementary school, it was The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe by C.S. Lewis. That got me in, and then I was reading. It was like, give me books, give me fantasy books. When you see the two books on the screen, you'll see Eye of the World by Robert Jordan and Return of the King by J.R.R. Tolkien. Those are books you can see if I started with C.S. Lewis and The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Fantasy novels have continued over time. So as we go through, I'd like you to use a free tool that is called Mentimeter. So you can access it, and I'm going to ask you, what is your favorite book? Maybe what got you hooked on reading at the beginning, or what your favorite book is right now. So on the screen, you can see a couple of ways to get there. You can use a QR code. You can do Menti with that link, cut and paste it, or I will show you a much easier way, because I'm going to move over to our screen and unpause the sharing, if I can get that right for you. So what is your favorite book? I see it already populating. Fantastic. Drop that book in there, whatever it was that hooked you or got you excited about reading. And you can get in by going to menti.com and using those code numbers to get in. Now, Anne of Green Gables, man, that one hits home for me. My daughter is in 6th grade. We've read through them. Just an incredible book series. Awesome. Wizard of Oz, Native Son, excellent. Any others? We'll take about a minute more, and if you can go in there, Happy Dreamer, Harry Potter, of course, Harriet the Spy, wonderful. Wrinkle in Time, Coraline, Harry Potter, Light in the Attic, excellent. Judy Blume, yeah, Color Purple. You guys have some great ones in here, great ones in here. All right, as we go through, I want you to notice the number of different types of books that you see. This is important. As we go through, you will see that this is important for this presentation, because kids and individuals like different books as they go through. So I'm going to pause the sharing. Great stuff in there. You guys, wonderful, wonderful. And I'm going to jump back to our presentation. And I want to talk to you a little bit about that. But remember, that key that unlocks reading, you've got books that were favorites of yours, things that got you going, and that works for kids today. So as I start, I want to tell you a little bit about my school district. Rancho Cucamonga is about 20 minutes or 30 minutes, depending on traffic, east of Los Angeles. We have 75% free and reduced lunch, so a lot of poverty in our particular town. We have an enrollment of 2,300 students, and we have 1 middle school and 3 elementary schools. I have 4 amazing library media specialists that are just fantastic as we go through. They are really, their story is going to be part of this story as we move forward. Our district, when we started working with Overdrive, we were 1-to-1. So as we went through, we already had devices for all of our students. So we were looking to go, how do we leverage this and what do we do as we move forward? We use something called an LCAP, which is a local control and accountability plan. I'm going to talk about that in the next slide. So I'm going to start down at the bottom on this particular slide. How we started our digital library is we used that plan to leverage funding around a goal to see reading by 3rd grade. So our school board said, and it's an old one, if you remember reading by 9, read by 3rd grade, that research has been out there for a very long time about if kids read well at that particular grade level, they do well in life, which is really important. So that leveraged funding for us to begin the library and also to maintain it over time. So you came here, you saw the student assessment, and how did they do? After we implemented Overdrive, we saw a 10% increase in our ELA scores, which is amazing. What's not on the slide is over the last 4 years, we've seen our 3rd grade students go from maybe about 30% at, near, or above reading to 66%. We've seen great gains with our students. So 2/3 of our students are near, at, or above in reading in a 75% free and reduced lunch district. So for us, that's really good. Why did we start this library? So that is the driving force. We also have a wonderful 21st century vision, a portrait of a graduate, and we also know that students love reading online. So my daughter, 6th grader, loves reading online. Sometimes we joke that that iPad is attached to her wrist because she just loves going in there. And I'm so happy when she's actually reading and not watching a television show. Overdrive gives you the ability to get some good reading in there. We now know with distance learning going on that, man, what a good time to have a digital library in place. This is super. We really want to see students doing well, but that digital instruction, having a variety of books, that is huge. So as I move through, why are we doing Overdrive? We have lots of choices of things to pick. We wanted to cast a wide net for readers, something for everyone. Right now, when we look at our numbers, we have 2,300 students. We already have 18,000 checkouts this school year in a distance learning environment. So we are excited, and we've been doing this for a while. When we delve down into those numbers a little more, we found that's not even all of our students. That's about 2/3 of our students are active users. We have another 1/3 we still need to get to. Overdrive also lets us know they're reading 30 to 35 minutes a time they open a book. That's fabulous. We want them to be reading for a while, but I think that's all about finding things that you're interested in. So Overdrive gave us more choices for students to read. I was talking with Bailey before the presentation, and we've also partnered with our county library. So not only do we have our library, we now have access to their library for our students as well, which is really, really wonderful. I also like Overdrive because we can control content and accessibility. And the digital curriculum really helps with assessments. When we get to our state assessment in California, it's digital. You have to read the stuff that's there. So having this library really helps us as we go forward. Wonderful, easy to use as we move ahead. I see Erica in the chat said, do you provide time to read online at school? So we do. We have time for students, and I actually have my librarians. They do like an hour per grade level once a week, and they actually allow kids to come in. They'll read them a story, give them time to connect with other kids, and it's super. And I think one of the things we found from that was amazing, our kids were only seeing certain kids in the Zoom session, so their class, but they had been used to seeing the whole grade level. In their library session, they actually get on and they can talk with the friends maybe that they haven't seen for a while and talk around the library in a book and literacy. It's really great. Really, really fun stuff. I want to jump into barriers that we face. So as we started this, sometimes folks go funding. That's their biggest piece that they have a challenge in. For us, it was actually a misperception. As we started this, our librarians thought I was trying to get rid of their regular books. And by no means were we saying that. We're like, cast a wide net. But we had to talk through that one because they thought we were just moving completely to a digital library. We're more of the both and. Use those imprint books, use the digital books, use everything you have as you move forward. I think now we're in the COVID world, so we're having to really work with students on how do you log in, how do you get access to materials, and promoting the program in a variety of ways. So talked a little bit about the Zoom session. We also have librarians coming into the teacher's Zoom session doing short commercials. Let me tell you about Overdrive. Let me tell you about this book we have in the library. Let me tell you about the Dog Man series by Dov Pilkey. So as we go through, they're able to do those things, and it really helps. So I want you guys, if you can share with me, what barriers would you anticipate facing? If you could just drop it in the chat. Are there areas where you're thinking, this might be a barrier for us? For us, it was misperceptions. Cost, I think, is a big one. I think that's a huge issue for most folks. Yep, right on. Okay, funding, for sure. As my librarians are talking, they're saying, a lot of libraries aren't funded well. So I think this can be a real challenge as we start. Challenge, teacher education promotion, high school level, yep. Finding the books the high schoolers want to read, especially when they have so much they have to do. Poor internet, funding, yep, high school kids not having time to read. Excellent, you guys are doing wonderful. Parent involvement, buy-in. These are huge challenges for sure. I will tell you, for us, we were able to leverage our district plan, and then we were able to get some funding, but now being able to connect to the county library, I don't know if those might be things that can help you in the future to connect to another entity and to their library to help with the cost as we move forward. Those are huge as we go through. Old Chromebooks, for sure, lots of stuff going on. So thank you guys for sharing that. I see a lot on there. Equity, not yet one-to-one, poor internet access in the district. These are all real pieces as we go forward. I share that with you because as you're approaching this, it's like you got to have a plan. How are we going to start moving to do these pieces? How do you get a champion? How do you get a person to start saying, hey, I'm on board. Let's start moving. What can we do? So I'm going to move from barriers into how did we actually start? Because we were able to leverage stuff in our district plan, which was helpful. But we introduced this within 30 days of the start of school by sending out parent letters, starting to let them know we've got Overdrive. This is a powerful piece. Our librarians created bookmarks for the students with their actual login information, which worked in a world before COVID. That's how we started going through. There are basic videos on the Overdrive site that are just phenomenal, that really talk about how do we log in, what do we do, how do we get moving. I think those are big pieces. And QR codes, we actually, I think one of my highlights was at a back to school night, Monica, one of our librarians, had a giant sign with a QR code on it, said, ask me about Overdrive. And she just walked through the whole back to school night, getting people excited and talking about Overdrive and what was going on. Really good stuff there. So, sorry, I got phones and all kinds of stuff. Real life's happening during this presentation. As we go through, think about what your process might be as you go through. How might you introduce this? I think in today's world, how would I get the information out? And I know our librarians are like, we can hit the Zoom. We can get in. We can create our own session, whether it's Google Meet, whether it's Zoom, whether it's Microsoft Teams or something else. How do we get the word out to folks as we go through? I think that's a big piece. Our rollout to the sites, we went by spans. So as we looked at things, one of our big pieces was, how do we connect with different grade level spans? So TK2, librarians said, you know what, let's work with our teachers. Let's have them present to their kids. We'll put them in class centers to talk about how to log in. We'll talk about parent-teacher conferences and bring that up so that we have information there for them. For grades 3 through 5, the librarian said we have our weekly library system where they come in. We'll tell them about Overdrive there and get them excited. For our middle school teachers, they said we're going to do it during our ELA classes, so the teachers presented. In today's environment, that's probably looking like I mentioned. How do you get into the online session for a little bit? How do you connect? How do you get pieces where you can get folks to go, this is reading, this is what's going on. And the hook is they're getting stuff hopefully that they want to read. So kids get excited as they move forward. How do we make it go? One of the other pieces that I think is really important is the audiobooks feature. I'm going to camp here for just a little bit. This helps your students who are learning the language. This helps your special ed students. We found for our special ed students, they had higher passing rates. They had heard the story. They went through. And on our state test, they have a feature called text to speech. That's really about somebody going through and reading the text. So having an audio book allowed them to do stuff in a format that was going to help them down the road when they even got to their state assessment. But more importantly, how do you get kids to understand the content? And if audio is the way, it's a great way. Now, not an audio book, but one of the pieces that I found as an interesting function is the dyslexic and large font availability. My daughter is not dyslexic, but she likes that font. And I have heard from other ones of our students that actually helps. So that's a nice perk that's inside Overdrive where kids can choose, how do I want to look at how that font looks as we go forward? That can help readers as we go through, which is really, really big. As I look in the chat, I see stuff with high school and buy-in from teachers and reluctant readers. That's a big deal. You got to find books that they like. You got to get teachers to go, this is going to help me get the achievement that we're looking for, because when kids read, they're able to do better on all of their stuff. And I firmly believe, find the one thing. For me, it was Chronicles of Narnia. If you can find that one thing, you can get kids reading, and then the other pieces of reading will come along. So I'll talk more. I see a lot in the chat, which is wonderful. I want to get through and look and take some more of those questions probably at the end. When I look at the literary components that are in Overdrive, they're really powerful. They also match a lot of the features on our state test. Annotation, note-taking, highlighting, wonderful skills that involve metacognition, thinking about your reading. What's important? What am I highlighting? What do I want to take notes around? You can do that in Overdrive. That's huge. Those are pieces that are skills they need now and later in life as we go through. Also, looking at the California State Test, that's a piece. We are able to do those things on the performance task side, which is big. I think that's super helpful. Also, the definitions feature. If I'm reading, I don't know what the word is, I can get some support as we go through. Why is Overdrive better now? And since 2018, they have Sora. And again, I'm going to bring my daughter up, 6th grader. She said, this is awesome. Really easy interface to get to your books. Sora is so good. You start right where you left off. Your book opens up right where you want it to be. Kids get to reading quicker, and students have told me in my district they like it better. They're able to get in there quicker. The other piece that's very nice is we get more detailed data about what's going on in reading. So I mentioned to you, we know that kids are reading about 30 to 35 minutes. How do I know that? Through the Sora interface on the admin side, you get to see that. You get to see how many users. I mentioned earlier, we have 2/3 of our kids are reading. How did I know that? I can go into the admin console and I can look and I can go, what are the active numbers of users? How is it going through? How's it compared to the year before? You can start tracking things out. Not only in Sora, but we are amazed in our school district. We have 2,300 students. For the past 3 years, and this year we'll do it again, we have 40,000 checkouts. Let me say that again, 40,000 checkouts of material, mostly books, to 2,300 students. And of that, really 2/3 are active. So that's people talking, that's librarians pushing it, which is great. And let me talk to you about the difference, because they are amazing. You see the picture there? That's Jody. She's our librarian at Los Amigos. She is amazing. Their mascot is the dragon. She's actually out. Those pictures are taken. She's doing a physical book drop-off. So she was actually going, hey, we do Overdrive, but we also do regular books too. They are amazing. They're running incentives for students. So how do we encourage them? What can we do? We do materials drop-offs, because we do have kids come in and pick up books or materials or stuff periodically. Can we have incentives? Can we have prizes? Can we have awards that we're giving kids at those times, for reading as they move forward? Jody, the librarian who's there, has her kids do Flipgrid book reviews. And I wish I had some for you, but kids are actually coming in and saying, hey, here's how I like this book. You might like it too. It's really pretty cool. And I mentioned before, our best school has the teachers really coming in and working with the librarians together. So the librarian can come on, join the Zoom session for a short commercial, talk about what's going on, and then work on it. And also Monica, another one of our librarians, and more than just her, they go through and do their own Zoom sessions so that kids can talk about those books. They can get on, read a book, get them excited. The other part that's really neat is when you look in Overdrive Marketplace, you can see what kids are reading. So I mentioned earlier, the Dogman series. I had no idea what that even was. My kids are reading it. That and Diary of a Wimpy Kid. I am amazed. For our district, that's like top 10 all the time. There might be some other books that flow in there, but then we see those are the books we need to get more of as we start going through. What is it that they want to read? Because they're going to read better reading things that they want to read. So as we go forward, what do you need? Well, you already said as we went through, we need money. So I think it's time to look for grants. It's time to partner with county libraries. It's time to look at the district office and have some conversations about, hey, what can we do to improve literacy on our school? I think those are questions that are big. Also capacity. Are you ready to utilize an online library? If you guys, and I saw in the chat, you mentioned like our Wi-Fi is not good. We're stuck on old devices. Do we need to do some things ahead of time before we get there? What might that look like? What does a refresh plan look like if we're trying to make sure that this is going? Starting to look at what barriers, as you've identified, how do we start navigating around them? And I think that's really, really helpful. And I'm gonna do the Simon Sinek, what's your why? If you're gonna do this, have a killer why. There's one already there for you. Don't you want kids to read? I do. This is a tool. Are they gonna need to read in the 21st and 22nd century? Absolutely, it's not gonna change. Just the medium may change. It might not be in a hard print book, or it might be on a browser. It might be on an iPad. They need to read. Articulate that why together with your school district, with your teams, with your principal. Talk about why do we need to do this? And I think one of the pieces that was really big for us, you need to have a champion at each site lead the way. You've got to be able to have some people who say, I'm gonna lean in, this is my baby, let's make this go. And I think when you see kids getting excited about reading and moving forward, you're gonna see your reading scores go up as well. So with that, I am gonna wrap up. Bailey, I left a little bit of time in there for us and just see if you guys have any questions, and I'm gonna look through the chat a little more. Yeah, a lot of people using Sora, just got Sora, that's great. Good stuff there.
I did see one question from Lynn. She said, how are you promoting during remote learning?
We are promoting during remote learning by having librarians come into the Zoom session for the regular teacher for a short commercial. So as they come in, hey, I've got my library session at this time. Here's some books we're seeing you reading. So they're coming in during those online sessions for real short periods of time. We know that instruction is really important. A lot of folks are using it, for the core academic work. But if you can get 2 minutes in there, I think that's really good. It's on websites. You can create videos and things to send out. We have Aries Communication. We'll do phone blasts out, trying to get that message out. But I really think being able to get into classrooms is big if the teachers will allow you to do it. But I think that message of, hey, we want kids to read can resonate with your staff as you move forward. Trying to find that key to get that lock going is really big. But I would encourage as much as you can do that, where you can get into places where the kids are actually at and get right to the kids. I think that can be really big. I don't know about you, but for our kids, I know that if I walked in and said, Dogman and Diary of a Wimpy Kid, we got them. Come check those books out. We would see folks going, we're in, and it would be the kids diving in. And if we didn't have those books, we could look in Overdrive and go, what is it that they are reading? So I hope that answers that question. That's what we're trying to do to promote it. All right, let me see what else do you guys, what kind of
incentives? Yep, you saw it.
Yep, as we're looking at incentives, we've got a couple of things going. So we've got some small toys. I think, candy and those kind of pieces depends on where you are with your food service director. They may give you some feedback there. Awards directly for kids. What we're doing right now, though, is if we can find time to get kids to be able to just kind of have a recess together, and we're actually doing that through PBIS as well. So if you read, hit your reading mark, You could come to this open Zoom session. We're going to talk about some literature. We're going to talk about some things, but really give kids a chance to talk. Might be a really nice leverage point, because right now connection is the piece I think kids are craving. If you can use that and go through books, through reading, through whatever it may be. We're thinking also through positive incentives, through PBIS, finding ways to get kids an opportunity to connect. I think that could be a way that you could generate some excitement online as we come through. Are you willing to come and talk to our librarians? Yes, for a slight fee, I will definitely be able to come. Just kidding. I don't mind, and actually our librarians would probably not mind speaking either. And you may want to actually have them be part of it, because they speak the language better than I do, and they'll also tell you, here's what we experienced and faced, with boots on the ground, which I think could be definitely something to do. So let's see. Information. Okay, I'll put my contact information in. Bailey, you seeing anything else?
Just the request for contact info, and I think we're ready to start doing the raffle. So on that note, Mike, I need you to pick a number between 1 and 65.
7.
Okay. Our lucky winner is Melissa Rollison from Greenbush, Virginia. Melissa, are you still on the line? Yay! Thank you, Melissa. You'll get an email. Congratulations. You'll get an email from Overdrive later today with some information to help you get that sent out to you.
And I just want to say, if you got my contact information, reach out. If you are interested, we would be glad to help. I know Bailey's been a wonderful resource too as we've moved forward. And she's, you said New York City schools and Los Angeles unified. You're handling some big districts. I know we're small potatoes compared to those districts, but you definitely know how a rollout works and what will go well.
Yep. In the words of our CEO, it's a great day in ebooks.
I think he got that from like hockey. It's a great day for hockey. I remember hearing that all the time.
Yep. So I'm going to send out in the chat the link to the Overdrive booth if anyone's interested in hearing more or talking to one of our reps about Sora. We're also doing some demos so you can see it in action, what it looks like and how students use it. And thank you everyone for attending. This was such a great session. And Mike, thank you so much for sharing all of the wonderful things that you and your district are doing, you and those librarians, to really get kids